Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Living Your Dreams by Mike Dooley. This is what Infinite Possibilities promises: an understanding of your divine powers, a roadmap for harnessing life's ultimate absolute, and a reminder of the infinite grace and perfection that always embraces us. We are among the illustrious architects who dreamed up time and space, the eyes and ears of God, and we're now alive in our own creation to experience our divinity in ways that it cannot otherwise be experienced. You're not here to be tested and judged. You have but to direct your thinking, to direct your experience. It's that easy. You are an adventurer just being human. The truth, however, and this will likely ring bells in your heart of hearts, is that we are infinite and powerful, fun-loving gladiators of the universe with eternity before us and the power of our thoughts to help shape it. We create our own realities, our own fate, our own luck. That is how powerful we are, and that is how powerful you are. Blood, sweat, and tears aren't what it takes to create real change. Instead, it's your imagination, beliefs, and expectations. There is nothing you can't do, nothing you can't have, and nothing you can't be. You are guided. You do have the power, and the universe is actually conspiring on your behalf. Chapter 1, Thoughts Become Things. Each of us is really doing his or her best, giving our own understandings, misunderstandings, and upbringings. Therefore, if divine judgment were to be passed on a life, and I don't believe it is, sin could only ever be regarded as an honest mistake caused by deeply misunderstanding the nature of our reality, not a demerit system that leads to eternal damnation. Our so-called sins should simply serve us as teachers, not as tormentors. None of us know for sure if we'll even live to see another sunrise, and every single day comes loaded with its brand new and exciting experiences. And isn't it the unknown, the uncertainties that make an adventure an adventure? The best things are indeed free. Life's greatest pleasures are an endless list: a child's laughter, a lover's embrace, playing tug of war with your dog, swimming, listening to music, eating, hiking, watching the sun, planting a tree, sitting in front of a fire, talking with friends, and they're all free. It is a wonderful life, and these kinds of delights are usually sprinkled throughout all our day-to-day adventures. We each have the power to conceive and achieve our own wildest dreams. So, how do you maximize your adventures through time and space? First, understand the adventure. Secondly, begin living the adventure. Apply your understandings, which, as I said earlier, is what you and I now have in common as the mission of our lives. Isn't every major breakthrough, discovery, or personal revelation only a thought away? And first come goals, such as falling in love, buying a house, and landing a job, and then click, 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 dreams start coming true. Have you ever heard someone say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it? I bet you have. We all have. And you know what else? I bet you believe it's true, or at least you do to some degree, don't you? Our words and our actions are merely our thoughts given wings. Our thoughts are where everything begins. With this principle, you can bring virtually anything you can imagine into your life, and it's just not limited to attracting material things. You can also imagine more love, more joy, more laughter. So it's up to you to choose your thoughts wisely. As creators, thinking is literally our only point of influence on the world and life's magic. Contrary to the views we inherited as children, such as a thought's just a thought, abstract and ethereal, what's real is the chair, the table, and the food on your plate. It turns out the opposite is true. Our thoughts are what is real. They're the starting point of all that would become tangible in our lives. We cannot, however, insist on any particular person behaving in a particular way. We simply cannot manipulate others with our thoughts, and most fortunately, nor can they manipulate us. So when it comes to thinking thoughts about specific others, try this. Take them out of the picture and instead imagine how you want to feel or the end result of whatever it is you want. Simply imagine the love you want to feel and share. Let your thoughts bring you what you really want. In this case, the feeling of love with the right person. For now, let me just say that if you're really hung up on a particular someone, then there's something you're missing. There's something you're misunderstanding about your fabulous self, your magical world, or the infinite possibilities that remain for the happiest, most romantic years of your life. Here's the good news. Whatever it is you're missing, it's only a thought away and infinitely closer to you than that specific someone and infinitely easier for you to attain. Let's say you want to improve how your child is doing in school. The best thing to do is to picture in your mind your child wildly happy, fulfilled, laughing, and confident, which is what you're really after anyway, right? Your thoughts, like the air bubbles, have their own default setting to manifest as quickly as possible, tempered only by your other thoughts. For instance, if you start off with demand such as, I'll only be truly happy when so and so does such and such, you shut the door on all the other ways you could be equally happy. Surrender the house, even as you continue living your normal life, knocking on doors, turning over stones. By not insisting upon which doors open or which stones possess your solution, but only upon the end result you desire. During my 5 or 10 minute prayers, I was thinking thoughts of victory. I could see that blue ribbon in my mind's eye, not the green one. Every night I was intently visualizing and thinking about winning, and those thoughts came to pass. Here's what I visualized, and it's what you can visualize whenever you don't know how to achieve an end result. I simply thought exclusively of the end result, not giving one moment's thought to how I would get there. I didn't close my eyes and see myself performing audits I didn't know how to perform. Instead, I saw myself walking up and down the halls of PW, beaming with joy, thrilled to be alive, and happy to be at work. My job, our job, is first and foremost to simply define the dream, specifically the end result in every imaginable detail. Thoughts become things. There are no mitigating factors. There are no exceptions. Your thoughts account for every wonderful and difficult thing that's ever happened to you. In fact, your thoughts are the only reason that anything has ever happened or not happened in your life. So the person who thinks he's underappreciated typically becomes unappreciated, which is not a very good place to be if you also see yourself climbing to the top of the corporate ladder. Yet, if all your life and still to this day you've believed and thought, whether you realize it or not, that people with money are not spiritual people or that big money means big problems, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Money is either wonderful and good and you want some, or it's bad and evil and you want to avoid it. The lesson here is that just because you haven't always received what you most wanted doesn't mean you didn't get what you were thinking. The reason some of your thoughts have not yet come to pass is because other thoughts of yours have, and they got in the way. You see, whenever something unexpected or unthought of falls onto our path, it's always a stepping stone in a journey to a place that we have been thinking about, because in time and space, as you well know, there are no accidents or coincidences. Life is far too amazing, majestic, and perfect for accidents and coincidences to exist that would rob us of our freedom, glory, and power. Whenever something unexpected or unthought of falls onto your path, it's always a stepping stone in a journey to a place that we have been thinking about. Working with our thoughts means becoming aware of our thoughts and knowing what they are. Just do what you can. Your life is already fulfilled with challenges, right? We've all been through times when we wish we could just quit that job or relationship, walk away, and never look back. But most of the time we don't. Why? We don't because we know that no matter how challenging certain situations can be, their rewards or the anticipated upside for seeing them through are greater. We know that if we at least do what we can, things will get better. They always do. Visualization. Pictures or feelings in your mind. If you can begin to grasp that your world does indeed revolve around the thoughts you choose, then it becomes a no-brainer to realize that at least sometimes, preferably daily, it would be helpful to deliberately think the kind of thoughts you'd like to experience. I recommend starting with visualization, as anyone can set aside 5 minutes a day to visualize. Step 1, don't overdo it. The reason those 5 minutes prevail despite the huge imbalance is because of our natural inclination to succeed, which makes visualizing all the more powerful. 2, be gentle with yourself. Go easy. Have patience. 3, feel the joy. If you want to really energize and supercharge your thoughts, add emotion to them. Thoughts have different intensity levels. Emotion is what turns up the volume. Emotion is pure power. Feel the emotions related to whatever it is you want. Feel the excitement, the joy, the pleasure, the victory, or whatever it is that will accompany your thoughts manifestation. The more you can feel the joy, the faster the physical details of your life will fall into place, yielding your manifestation. 4, don't visualize more than once or twice a day. First of all, your life and happiness spring from the present, not from the future. And by dwelling too much on your hopes for tomorrow, you could easily begin taking for granted all that you already have to be happy about. Secondly, if you dwell too much on your dreams coming true, you may become more and more aware or conscious of the difference between where you are today and where you want to go. You don't have to understand how it really works. You just have to understand that it does work unfailingly. Never lose sight of it. Never let it go. There's really only one thing you would logically wish for. I know that you would wish for things to be exactly as they are now so that you could remain alive in a kingdom that you rule with your thoughts you choose to think and where you have indeed been given dominion over all things, right? Chapter 2, beliefs. It's our normal everyday thoughts and wandering imagination that compose most of our thoughts. So it's these thoughts that are responsible for bringing about most of our experiences. By aligning your beliefs with the life of your dreams, the $1 billion answer to how can I direct the stream of my countless daily thoughts so that they work to serve my needs and desires. As one believes, so shall one think. In other words, to master your thoughts and imagination and therefore your life and destiny, you must first master their captain, your beliefs. No matter how you answered these questions, you've just shared with me some of your beliefs. Here's the catch. You think your answers are simply innocent observations about your reality and yourself, but instead they're actually helped create your reality. If you think life is hard, for example, it becomes hard. It wasn't hard to begin with, not until you started thinking it was. Over time, however, you stopped seeing this observation as your opinion and began seeing it as a fact of life, and thus the belief was born. The truths of being, life's absolutes. We are all one. Nothing can exist outside of God, or be non-God. To be non-God where would it come from? What would it be made of? Thoughts become things. We are creators. Literally, our thoughts, being pure God for the prior truth, have an energy and a life force all their own. Our thoughts are alive, aware, and active. Life is eternal. We are the creators of the illusory dimension of time. Einstein himself called it relative. There is only love. It's all good. Everything is exactly as it should be. In divine mind, even while all things have remained possible with infinite possibilities for expansion onto unimaginable realms, in the deepest sense, ultimate outcomes such as growing, learning, and remaining one with divine mind after the venture were not left to chance. We are pure God, pure energy, eternal, living in an adventure dream world of our own creation, and that no matter what happens in this adventure, we all return to our celestial source, wiser, whole, enriched, and all-powerful. The only conclusion that exists is that it's truly all good. These truths are absolute. To master your thoughts and imagination, and therefore your life and destiny, you must first master their captain, your beliefs. The tricky aspect of beliefs is that without our even knowing it, they limit that what we allow ourselves to think, and therefore what we can then manifest into our lives. Your beliefs act like filters through which your every thought must be sifted, but these filters are invisible but not unknowable. Let's pretend that beliefs are like tinted sunglasses and that your vision through those glasses represents the thoughts you entertain through the filters of your beliefs. Doesn't everything look different color-wise when you put on the glasses? Yet, after you have them on a while, you don't even know you're wearing them. In fact, it's hard to remember what things look like without them, and the only way to remember is to take them off. Everyone is wearing something different. Does the fact that everyone is wearing different sunglasses have any effect on reality, on what people see, or just on how they see it? Isn't it possible that some people will see colors, even things that are impossible for others to see? Beliefs are exactly the same in this regard. Most of the time, we don't even know we have them on, let alone how they're operating, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. When our beliefs are in alignment with our dreams, they'll serve us. But if they're not, big problem. You might want something with all your heart and soul, but without believing it is possible, you simply will not and cannot maintain the thoughts necessary to bring it to fruition. The thoughts that exist just outside how you define plausible, whether outrageously wonderful or diabolically awful, are generally not manifest because they're far too difficult to believe in and therefore too difficult to clearly imagine and feel. You don't think these thoughts because they're not in alignment with your beliefs, which explains why most people's lives generally stay about the same. When there's something you want right away, don't set your goal too high because you may not believe in it enough to begin visualizing it properly and regularly. I think you know what I mean. I'm not saying don't dream big or even huge. I'm just saying pace yourself and give yourself some intermediary goals too. By staging your dreams this way, it's even possible that you dream of eventually owning an exotic will enhance your dream of owning a Mercedes, as the Mercedes will be seen as an exciting stepping stone that will make even greater things possible. If you've never taken vacations but would like to, perhaps begin by imagining yourself at Disney World rather than Luxor, Egypt. Follow your feelings when setting goals. Be moderately reasonable for the short-term goals, and when you can, strive to understand any emotional resistance you encounter because this resistance means you've hit some limiting beliefs that need exploring. On the other hand, if you make your goals too easy, they won't inspire you, and your visualizations of them may lack emotion. Inspire yourself, just not to the point of getting psyched out. Beliefs also spark emotion, which, as you may know from the previous chapter, helps supercharge the power of your thoughts. For instance, when beliefs about a particular something are strong enough, anticipation and expectation are aroused, accelerating the manifestation process. When you truly believe in something, good or bad, you repeatedly turn the thought over and over in your mind. The more real it is, the faster the manifestation. There's nothing magical about the manifestation of thought. It's one of the steadfast principles of time and space, and it operates without exception. It works whether you know about it or not. Yet, once you know about it, you can then immediately start deliberately using it in your favor. Manifesting your thoughts into reality is nothing new, but what is magical is when someone dares to dream, when someone has the courage to think new thoughts, set goals that are presently out of his or her immediate reach, and possess the audacity to believe that they will come to pass. Dare to dream, believe in that dream, and then the humdrum process of manifestation begins. Spectacular thoughts take form just as the mundane do, with the same amount of effort. Only a few intense minutes are necessary just once a day to spark the greatest of material breakthroughs. And it's all in keeping with the rules. Even if it were possible to cheat, could life be any easier than getting what you think about? Seeing the illusions of time and space as something independent of ourselves. If a predominant belief of your family or community was that God lived outside you or apart from you and that he judged and punished people, then each time you saw misfortune, you'd see it as proof that there was such a God. You'd automatically filter all your experiences through this belief, not even realizing there were any other options. Here's another example. If everyone believed that having wealth and abundance required just the right amount of luck and skill, then it would seem that you too must possess just enough skill at just the right times in just the right places in order to come into your fortune. Because of this thinking, it would become a very difficult task. And you begin ignoring the fact that the rich are often ignorant, untalented, or both. You just wouldn't notice their obvious shortcomings, just as they don't notice. The real good news is that while upbringing can powerfully affect and shape your thoughts, it doesn't mean that you're stuck with those thoughts. You may be stuck with your past, but the future is dependent on what you think here and now, not where you've been. People are gifts in our lives because they serve as irrefutable proof that there's no one sitting around judging us, deciding whether or not we're worthy to have the things we want. We are worthy. You are worthy. These people are proof that thoughts do become things. You just have to be able to dream and believe in those dreams. Two people might witness a mugging on a crowded street corner, but when recalling the incident, one might see it as proof of innate human savagery, while the other might remember the many caring and concerned bystanders. Both people witness the same event. As we witness the events of our lives through the filters of our beliefs, and each drew conclusions from what they saw according to the beliefs they held about reality. Up until now, you've thought that your beliefs have been defined by your reality, but instead your reality has been defined by your beliefs. Your world simply mirrors your thoughts, your beliefs, and your expectations like an echo in a canon. Beliefs prevent you from imagining beyond their borders. Without the belief first, neither the dream nor their plane could have taken off. Your beliefs permit or deny your dreams. You know what happens when you start looking for problems. You either find them and then reinforce them with new pictures in your mind, or if they hadn't existed in the first place, you start creating them out of thin air so you can find them. Using the observe and dismantle approach, I simply do a bit of spying and detective work on myself. I don't do this blatantly through sessions or even very consciously. Instead, as I go about my normal daily affairs, I pay close attention to all the things I think, say, and do, because these three things reflect what's going on in my mind. If there are limits there, they'll appear in my thoughts, words, and actions. Catch yourself the next time you say, must be nice, and ask yourself why you believe this object or experience is out of your reach. Have you ever heard yourself groan when a cashier or technician adds up a particular large bill for you? Where's your thinking then and there? Obviously, it's expressing a belief that money is tight or hard to come by, and that the prospect of things changing in this regard in the near future is slim to none. And of course, such beliefs, even when they're accurate reflections of our present circumstances, will only perpetuate those very circumstances. Here's something I've been doing for years whenever I get an unexpected bill. I say to the person who delivered it, good thing I'm rich. By saying it again and again, however, it's undoubtedly been one of the many factors contributing to the financial freedom I now enjoy. Have you ever noticed yourself driving more slowly to save gas, price shopping at the grocery store, or adjusting the thermostat in your home to save money? All these actions typically reflect underlying beliefs and limitations, scarcity, and your inability to have and do all you want to have and do. By observing such behaviors, you can learn that you have some beliefs about your reality that do not reflect the truth. But why are your resources limited when your whole life is proof that you live in a world where your thoughts become things? Why are you having trouble focusing on wealth and abundance? Or conversely, why are you focusing on lack and limits? Accepting responsibilities is what will give you back your power. Have you ever wanted something, but then caught yourself telling your friends something contradictory? Maybe you really long for a deep and meaningful relationship, but then you hear yourself say something to the effect that relationships never last or that they're unnatural. Maybe you're trying to lose weight and you're determined to do it, but you hear yourself telling a friend that it makes no difference what you eat, you still can't lose weight. These are more examples of you expressing your so-called invisible beliefs. As I said before, beliefs are no more than opinions about reality. As bulldoze and liquefy. As silly as the name is, the bulldoze and liquefy approach works for me. Very simply, I allow myself to become so empowered by my desires and goals that I can automatically and effortlessly bulldoze and liquefy any limiting beliefs that might be in my way. How? By reasoning and rationalizing all the reasons why I should have and deserve what it is that I want, and then acting the part. Sometimes I'll even put pen to paper and jot down bullet points of all the reasons why my goal is achievable and inevitable. If you think money is hard to acquire, ask yourself why, and compare your answers to the truths of being to see how they shrivel up. Dissolve old beliefs. It's not even necessary in the end to know what your limiting beliefs are, as long as you begin to understand and live by the greater truths that surround and support you, particularly in the areas of the life you'd like to see change. There's no question that limiting beliefs that hold you back, but the reverse is true of empowering beliefs. They can send you through the stratosphere with love, joy, health, and abundance. All things are possible with belief, and it adds no caveats. It doesn't say all things are possible with belief if God says so, or if you're a good person. It says all things are possible when you believe. Just look at the success stories of our time in any field or profession and ask yourself these questions. Is there a consistency in their pasts, a religion, formula, ritual, or rite that ensured their success? Were they all goody two-shoes from the right neighborhoods and with morally upstanding parents? No, 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 and no. Their achievements weren't the results of any such dilly-dallying. They prevailed because they believed they would prevail. You can't help but make decisions and choose actions based on your beliefs, whatever they are, and whether you like it or not, which is why your beliefs are so important. Look at the accomplished artist and inventor or tycoon and think, not, there goes so-and-so who's talented and innovative and powerful. Think, there goes someone just like me who believes in his or her talent, inventiveness, and power. We are nothing in time and space but thought machines. That's it. Of course, taking action is absolutely required, but as you'll soon read, our actions usually spring from our beliefs. Living the life of our dreams comes from aligning whatever you want with your beliefs, not virtues, practice, money, patience, connections, prayer, meditation, karma, and goodness, but beliefs and only beliefs, particularly the belief in inevitable success. Most people won't let themselves believe in inevitable success until they feel they live right. We have inner conversations that sound like, I'll start living in abundance once my novel becomes a bestseller. But why limit the infinite avenues of abundance to the lone corridor of selling a novel? And by the same token, why saddle the dream of writing a book with the burden of creating wealth? Sorry, but what does happiness have to do with the weight? Nothing, unless we think, say, and believe so. Whatever it is that you now want, give what you can of it to yourself. Enjoying your life today by living your dreams to the degree you presently can is perhaps one of the most powerful things you can do towards expanding your belief system while disabling, limiting, even invisible beliefs. Advanced visualization tips to bypass limiting beliefs. 1, when visualizing, always focus on the end result of whatever it is you want. 2, don't link your dreams together. Visualize one at a time. If you want love, happiness, health, or wealth, create it first in your mind. Imagine as vividly as possible you can your life as if you've already received what you want. Visualize sight, sound, sensations, and most importantly, the emotions you expect to feel. Here's a fun end result to imagine: the stunned and happy reaction of others. Or imagine helping people who want to achieve as you have. It's not important that you first imagine why others are reacting happily, exactly what kind of help you will be giving. By not insisting on those details, you let the universe figure them out for you in the fastest, most harmonious way possible. Don't think you have the first pinpoint or unwind all your beliefs before you can begin making any progress. It's just a matter of the thoughts you choose to think. And the ideal way to rifle through its pages begins with aligning your beliefs with the life of your dreams. Yet in time and space, we can believe whatever we like for any reason we like, and as we believe, so will it be. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Believe, and they will be done. Chapter 3, Blessed Emotions. So what is it that you want most? A home in the country? What do you want with all your heart and soul? The love of your life? What would you give anything to have? More friends, more laughter, more time? Actually, I think we have a lot in common, because the thing we want most is also the thing I want most: to be happy. But what is happiness? It's the emotion we spontaneously experience whenever we think the circumstances of our life are favorable. Whenever we think the circumstances of our life are favorable. The short-term fix that will bring about happiness is to change our perception of circumstances that seem unpleasant. The long-term fix is to begin the work of aligning our thoughts and beliefs with all we want the future to hold so that we can change the circumstances, our perception of the circumstances that now surround us. Whenever I feel beset with guilt or doubt about what I'm doing or whether I'm working hard enough, I examine my beliefs, change my perception, and think to myself, oh, Mike, if you only knew how well you're going to be doing in the near future, you'd really just relax and enjoy today for all that it already is. So the emotion of happiness, which is what we're all really after, is a product of our perceptions, like our emotions, and our perceptions are a product of our beliefs. Anything unpleasant I'm feeling is based on a poor perception / belief of my situation. Knowing how quickly I can begin feeling better, I immediately begin thinking more enlightened thoughts that expand the boundaries of my beliefs and perceptions. I start expecting to feel better, and then I do feel better. Our beliefs can do this with any and all our emotions. We're literally only ever just a thought away from allowing ourselves to possess new beliefs that can fill us with unspeakable joy, profound happiness, and a complete sense of well-being right now. What if today someone came to you and definitively told you that in the immediate future, all your dreams would manifest? The psychological and physical changes you would go through are more than you can even comprehend. You'd be elated, confident, relieved, excited, happy, accepting of the world, and so much more. You'd breeze through the rest of the day, no matter what surprises it might hold. Nothing could faze you. You'd be undominable, unstoppable, and walking on air. So how about it right now? Why don't you tell yourself that all your dreams will soon manifest? What would it take? You hold the key. The world is your oyster, and you have been given the freedom to think as you choose and to therefore create whatever you can imagine. Our emotions color our ever experience. Without them, what would it matter? Nothing. Emotions give our lives meaning and reason, and the unpleasant ones serve us by hinting at how we can get back on track with life's truths. How adventurous would life be if we were challenge free, if we had all perfect bodies, perfect self esteem, and lived perfect, cushy lives? And no single peril we might face would be insurmountable. People manifest their thoughts. There's little accomplishment there. It's the journey and not the destination that matters so much in time and space. For it's during the journey that emotions color our experiences while providing feedback and insight into our beliefs. The more understanding we possess, the more joy and acceptance we feel. Infinite love is everywhere, always. This kind of infinite love is not an emotional love. It's not conditioned on time, space, or matter, thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. Yet, if it's not an emotional love, why am I mentioning it here? Because it's your heritage, it's what you are made of, and it's your destination. Still, we can at least grasp that in time and space, there's far more happening than meets the eye. Human love. The human kind of love is beautiful, but it's almost always emotion-based, which means that it's conditional based on beliefs and perception. It's often transient, felt only when circumstances fit into a predefined mold or when certain personal rules are met, contingent upon approval, respect, reciprocation, or friendship. It rarely, if ever, is truly unconditional. Human love has become like this because we perceive our illusions to be more real than the reality from which they emerge. So our love is based on the things and circumstances of time and space rather than the spirit that moves them. Do you feel rejected and unworthy of love? How so? Considering you've been bathed in it since birth as a child of the universe, one with the divine yourself. Do you feel like you have to start over in life when a relationship goes awry? There's nothing wrong with starting over. We all have to do it every day. Even when we're in a relationship, people are always changing and evolving, and any given relationship is not the same today as it was just a year ago or even a month ago. Do you feel like you're facing the world alone? How could you, when there are billions of others here and now having the same adventures as you, not to mention an entire universe that you are intimately a part of? Hate. Hate is love in retreat, which means that had love not been present in the first place, there could be no hate. Hate among strangers isn't hate, it's either fear or anger. Hate among former friends, however, is the reflection of an emotional love that had conditions, and most likely the conditions not met was the love's return. Did you feel that your happiness depended on someone else? If so, remember that happiness is the product of perception, and you alone control your perceptions. Fear. Fear is a scary emotion, but you just don't feel it. You use it. Every unpleasant emotion of yours screams out that you have limiting beliefs or a false understanding, and fear is no different. The fear of failure, disappointment, being hurt, or not being approved of, for example, or all virtually invisible fears until you've tested. Sadness and depression. The best thing I've ever read about depression came from one of Jane Robinson's Seth books. Very simply, depression is the result of being powerless to change your circumstances, of feeling trapped by your life. If this is where you are, facing or admitting it is the first step. Then begin realizing that you are, of course, powerful. If you're lonely, go to the mall or anywhere and smile and look for friendly faces. You don't have to talk to anyone, but go. Get moving. If you're sad about something after the initial healing that may require some alone time, start encouraging yourself to focus on other things. Always do what you can. Best of all, when you do what you can make yourself far more available to all your other wonderful thoughts that are seeking to burst into your life as new manifestations. Anger is similar to depression in that it results from a perceived loss of power or control felt over a period of time. Because anger is destructive, it's especially important that it be addressed, not suppressed. Suppressed anger will only reappear, amplified each time it does due to its prior suppression. Alternatively, by feeling your way through your anger, you can begin to understand it. Realize that you are the source of your anger, not someone else or the events of your life. Grief, like all unpleasant emotions, also arises out of limiting beliefs that your loss is permanent forever. But as an eternal spiritual being, you should be able to grasp that no loss is ever permanent, that there are no final goodbyes, and that there are only irreconcilable separations. These are all illusions. The fact that you are left behind unquestionably means you still have some more living to do. Guilt. Learning not to be perfect is why we're here, and now no transgression of yours can ever take away from your divinity, nor has it, no matter what you've done, and nothing you've ever done can keep the infinite love of the universe from shining on you. Your emotions are jewels that each have its own lesson to impart, and when dealt with, their teachings will reveal the beliefs behind the illusions you've created. Suppressing your emotions is like ignoring the smell of smoke in your home. You're avoiding the recognition that there are underlying beliefs of yours that are their cause. Another advanced visualization tip. This is so important. Let me clarify and again suggest that when you visualize from time to time, just visualize positive, happy emotions without thinking of any objects or events. You are not what you feel. Another thought for dealing with your emotions, particularly your unpleasant ones, is to not let them define you. Emotions don't define us. They simply point to our perceptions and beliefs at any given moment. Whenever we think we want new things in our lives, what we're really after are the feelings we think these things will bring us. But of course, it's not things that bring us feelings. It's the journey they inspire and the accomplishments they signify. But being in the winner's circle, by its very definition, requires facing challenges and winning, not in the sense of being better than others, but by reaching the very bars you set for yourself earlier. Then the greatest of all rewards will be the happiness you feel for having made the pilgrimage, for prevailing in spite of your fears and doubts. Being happy comes from doing what you love, doing it well, and facing your challenges along the way. It's as if life rewards you with success at work, in your relationship, and in other material, non-material ways. Interestingly, we're always inspired by the way we want to feel compared to how we now feel. So it shouldn't be forgotten that how you now feel is a perception. Who do you think could achieve more? Someone who starts out happy or someone who is motivated by unhappiness? We're all different. And sometimes disconnect can be a great motivator. Discontent can be a great motivator. But I think we all know that people who are happy often go further in their lives and faster than those who are unhappy. If you're happy, you feel less stressed to have to change your life. That does mean that you shouldn't or that you won't change, but it does mean that you worry less. You won't feel like you're carrying the world on your shoulders, and you won't feel like your happiness lies a deal away, a contract away, a day away, a dream away, or a person away. Right now, we are free to think as we please. Right now, it's our turn in the sun. You're blessed. I'm blessed. And yet, it's so easy to lose this perspective and find ourselves unappreciative and unhappy. Chapter 4, life is waiting for you. This is especially true when you believe that one of the fundamental reasons we're here is to learn of our absolute power to shape the lives we lead. Believe and all things are possible. If we make our own reality, then we make our own reality, and it's not a part-time thing based on any conditions or variables whatsoever. Only with perfect, flawless consistency can life, like a mirror, accurately show us what we're putting out there. Life is waiting for you to take action, to exercise your free will, to choose your path by using its principles to invoke the magic behind creation in order to live the life you've always dreamed you could live. This is why you're here. By deliberately taking action, by physically moving with and towards your dreams, you set the entire universe into motion. Action is the key. We have at our disposal an infallible, loving universe, an extension of yourself armed with inviolate principles. Intent or thought without action is not enough. You believe your intent will be matched with results. The actions we take or don't take reveal the thoughts of our lives that are believed in the most or the least. But by simply taking these steps, we demonstrate where our true beliefs lie and where our thinking is, thereby engaging the magic of life to finish what we have begun. Getting anything done requires movement and action. Our actions are our beliefs in motion. And if you believe that you create your own reality, you accept responsibility for all that has ever happened in your life while behaving responsibly each and every day with this belief in mind. Generally, we automatically act in line with our beliefs. You cannot help but act with your true beliefs about life. If you knew with certainty, with all your heart and soul, that all you had to do was write an international best-selling novel was to put pen to paper and the entire work would gush from you in perfect form, would you do it? You bet you would. You couldn't help yourself. But if you didn't believe it, if you thought it was very difficult, if you thought your chances of being discovered was slim to none, would you then put pen to paper? No, unless you're really forced to. Thoughts do become things, but because not everything you think can instantly spring into time and space, only those thoughts that are aligned with your beliefs and are felt intensely to the degree that they automatically throw you into action can appear. Thoughts become things. This needs no modification. Though, if anything should be added to those three magic words, it would be to work on your beliefs, which are generally the root cause of all we do and don't do. When you realize that not only do your actions and inactions extend from your beliefs, but they also support and reinforce these very beliefs, thus a cycle of manifestation is born. Change the belief and your diet. Life circumstances and buying priorities will effortlessly change too, as will all things you associate with your weight. You can start changing your behavior incrementally by occasionally splurging or acting as if. And second, and most importantly, you must begin realizing that your present circumstances have nothing to do with what you eat today or win the lottery. If you're not yet surrounded by wealth, your present situation arose when you stopped seeing the world with was pressing out its abundance to you, or perhaps because you never learned of this truth. When you understand fully that your present condition sprang from your thoughts and beliefs, you'll also realize that's where you need to initiate any offsetting changes. Learning to behave according to your dream, your inner vision, especially when you've relied perhaps exclusively upon your physical senses to determine how you will or act or behave up to this point. Dancing with your dreams and not the illusions around you is precisely how to bring those dreams about, which is exactly the opposite of how it may appear. The physical world is simply a mirror of your own beliefs and thoughts, which means that if there are any appearances you'd like to change, you must go first within. By simply acting in some new ways with small deviations from the life we normally lead, we actually tap into and harness the power of the universe and our thoughts. On a bigger scale, you can decide to behave as if some or all of your dreams have already manifested. Your reality is no longer what it used to be. When you act in new ways, anticipation of the unexpected is aroused and previously closed doors to fulfillment begin swinging open. If, however, despite contradictory circumstances that surround you, can gather the courage to act even a little out of step with your old beliefs, as if to say, that's not the way it's going to continue, it will be recorded, documented, and carry messages that states from now on, things are going to be different. Whenever I've encountered the illusion that I would soon be out of money, I immediately start giving more money to charities. In addition to everything else I've talked about so far, I write a check weekly to a new charity. Once I set myself into motion to the best of my ability, I begin feeling a sense of gratitude that I was in a position to help others, and a sense of knowing that my coffers would soon be replenished by the universe. Another example of what you might do to eliminate poverty consciousness is adding just a couple of dollars to the minimum payments you make each month on your revolving credit card bills or mortgage, as if you now have more money than in prior months when you could only pay the minimum. If you dream of traveling internationally one day, get a passport today. Call travel agents, surf the internet, price trips, and read up on the places you want to go, and do these things as if you were scheduled to go wherever it is your dream of going, especially if these actions go against the grain of your existing beliefs. Start looking for the kind of gifts you'd buy for your significant someone. Set aside time in your calendar for weekends away. Call for brochures of places you'd like to go to visit with that person. Become aware of things you could do as a couple, like theater schedules and concert dates. Don't just prepare, act as if you already have a romance. If you're dreaming of owning a particular car, go to the car dealership that sells it and test drive it, or call people in the classified ads and ask them about their cars. Find out the trade-in value of present car. Finally, call an insurance company to get a quote on your new rates, all as if you have your new car. In addition to many examples above that equally apply here, if you dream of living the champagne and caviar life, buy the shoes, price the villa in Saint-Tropez, call the country club, Form your own charitable foundation. Open an online investment account as if you were already about to drop a load of money into it. Window shop, order catalogs from the stores you'll shop from, and ask your credit card company to raise your spending limits. Plan a celebration party, create the invitation list, and pick the location. Do all these things as if you already live in abundance. If you want to be famous, practice signing autographs. If you want to double your sales, pick the reward you're going to give yourself once you succeed. Shop for that reward and learn all about its every detail. If you can dream of having big money to spend on extravagances one day, then start buying little extravagances that you can afford already today. Actions that presuppose that your dream has already come true are even more powerful than those that prepare for your dreams to come true. Too often I encounter people in my audiences somehow seem to think that because they suddenly grasp deeper spiritual truths, they no longer have to go out and engage in life by taking action, just as it would have been rather ridiculous for me to forego my physical training because I wrote my grandmother a letter. It's equally ridiculous for them to think they can perhaps live in an abundance, find their soulmate, improve their health, or even simply live happily without taking regular, consistent physical action in those directions. Of course, knowing the truth about a reality does mean you can have far more and get it wildly faster while physically doing much less. To supplement the more traditional physical actions you take as you move toward your dream, you too can write an old friend, an anticipated new friend, or relative a long letter telling them in great detail of your latest adventures, conquests, and accomplishments as if you've just completed whatever it is you want to do. And you don't have to mail it. Just keep it around and read it to yourself from time to time. Here's another idea. Write yourself a letter as if you were someone else, sending you praise, inquiries, offers, or business proposals that are all in line with your dreams. Another playful thing you can do is go on lavish shopping sprees through expensive mail order catalogs and write down the items and prices of everything you'd like to buy as if you'd had more than enough money to purchase them. Totally order and say out loud, "That's all?" I make a list of whatever dreams I have, and under each dream, I write down simple, inexpensive acts of faith that I can start doing now. Try it and you'll see it's actually fun. But if you don't make the initial list ahead of time, it's harder to think of how to go out of your way each day to do these things. It should go without saying. It's not enough to do one thing, write one letter, or make one purchase and then wait. You must be consistently active, repeatedly behaving as if your dream is already a reality. You wouldn't work out at a gym once and call it exercising. You go regularly. And always, this is important. This is why I keep repeating it. Imagine that you're doing what you're doing because your dream has already arrived, not because you want it to arrive and you think these steps will help. Don't think of these actions as preparation for your dream, but experience them as living your dream. When performing your acts of faith, really get into it. Your word is thought crystallized, taken to another level in specificity and clarity. Words are simply our thoughts that will become things the soonest. Affirmations are not only helpful in installing new beliefs, but like our acts of faith, they can also help us to make strides in eroding invisible limiting ones. In case affirmations, which are sometimes also called mantras, are new to you, they're simply short, empowering statements that you repeatedly say to yourself. An example would be, I am surrounded by wealth and abundance. Using affirmation and mantras is actually a simple form of self-hypnosis. And I hope you noticed that I did use the word feeling, because without feeling the things you're saying, there's little point to saying them. There must be emotion, or these words and their related thoughts won't be able to compete with all your other thoughts vying for emotional support, be it fear or happiness. The trick is that we must begin thinking and acting as if it is already there. We must talk as if it's already there. And while saying such things seems a little crazy, that's where it works. That's the key to living your dreams. You must live them first, at least in your thoughts, in order to manifest them. Why gratitude rocks. When you think of being thoughts of thanks, what you're really doing is thinking thoughts of having received. Remember, what happens when you think thoughts, any thoughts, they become things in your life. This means that when you think thoughts of having received, those thoughts seek to come back to you experientially. As always, It's the feeling you put out that matters the most. In fact, you don't even have to be thankful for anything in particular when you send out gratitude, as long as you send out the feeling, I have received. In response, the universe will give you reason to experientially feel the gratitude you first put out, crafting occurrences and surprises that you may have never even thought about, but that were exactly the kinds of things that would manifest the feelings that you did think about. Because of the thoughts and feelings it generates, which can only be made physical by becoming the appropriate things and events of our lives. The truth is that there is enough for everyone, and your receiving your heart's desires does not mean others are going without theirs. Gratitude is powerful, and it does work magic. So it's great to work it into your affirmations whenever you can. Give thanks and praise to life, its grace, and its unfailing principles for having already manifested your dreams. Say things like, thanks for surrounding me with health, wealth, friends, and laughter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And really feel it. We're all sorcerers. We're all magicians, and we can each invoke this magic to live the life of our dreams. Indeed, it's our greatest birthright. Chapter 5, Gifts from Heaven. It's our feelings that help us find our way. These gifts from heaven, our intuitive feelings, have more of a celestial origin than, say, our normal thoughts, emotions, and actions. Our feelings, and here I mean desires, intuitions, and impulses, not our emotions, come to us by divine means as if gifts from heaven. Gifts because they originate outside our normal awareness, not from outside ourselves, but from within, independent of the physical world we live in. All forms of direct knowing, as is the spontaneous illumination I spoke of earlier, and they originate from a deeper place within us, from our higher selves. The point here is realizing that our starting point for infinite knowledge and wisdom should begin with knowing that it's all already at your disposal, even though you may have been trained yourself into thinking that it's inaccessible. Our disbelief keeps us from creating the intent that would be the prerequisite for such illuminations. And this is exactly why further research into such phenomena is abandoned, because it just isn't acceptable in our society's belief system to believe that spontaneous enlightenment occurs at all. But the truth is, all knowledge and wisdom are immediately accessible to every one of us. They're ours for the taking once we let up on the beliefs that keep them at bay. Creativity is just more evidence that we not only exist beyond our physical selves, but that we can draw insights, comprehensions, and solutions from those realms to enhance our time and space adventures. Given that we're all physical creatures and that thought simply cannot be a product of the brain, doesn't it make sense that every thought we've ever entertained has been channeled to some degree from our spiritual selves through our physical selves? We're all channels, and our physical bodies simply translate our spiritual energies out to a physical world, which again is made possible because of a divine connection to the infinite. We have to be our own guides to what is useful or bunk, and the best way to do this is to follow our own feelings. Too often it's thought that our desires are frivolous and our dreams selfish, yet our planet is an abundant and opulent paradise, and it freely shares its treasures to those who meet it halfway, less than halfway even, with unlimited thinking, great expectations, and the simplest of actions. Our desires are gifts, not curses, and they should be honored. Dreams are selfish only if you believe in scarcity and lack. If you believe that for you to receive something, others must go without. No one can ever know you like you do. No one else can know what fulfills you or what drives you. No one else can see through your window to the divine, nor hear the instincts and pulses that are whispered in your ear. And no one except you can know what potentials and talents lie dormant inside you. To thine own self be true, as Shakespeare once said. Getting back on track. Here are a couple of thoughts that help get anyone back on track. 1, be yourself. 2, deal with what's already on your plate. Wherever you are now has meaning, and there's a reason you're there. But because you are there, wherever there is, it needs to be your starting point. Accept it, go with the flow, approve yourself, and understand its worth and value, and you will rise above anything unpleasant you may now be facing. 3, follow the fun. Almost anything can be fun with the proper perspective. 4, begin it. Whatever you decide to do, begin it. Even if you're not sure what you should be doing with your life, take baby steps today in any direction that may possibly resonate with you. Do something. Anything is better than nothing. Move, take action, be the spark. Just do what you can. Weave new steps and thoughts into your work days and throughout your weekends, and inch forward. However possible, be gentle on yourself, forgiving and compassionate. And don't expect overnight enlightenment. It will come and it will light your way. That's inescapable. And you can accelerate its arrival by simply busying yourself in each moment and addressing what's before you and simply expecting it sooner. What if a desire affects other people adversely? Well, whether or not others are affected adversely is, again, only opinion. Even if they claim to be hurt, for example, such as when their relationship is ended by the other person, does that really mean that they were affected adversely? What about the learning, growing, and evolution that takes place whenever we feel emotional pain? If a relationship's end, people can feel hurt only if they choose and allow themselves to feel hurt. Challenges arise when you're ready to grow and learn. Everyone is spiritual everywhere else at once. The people now in your life are not there accidentally, nor are you accidentally in theirs. We all enter each other's lives pre-approved with full knowledge of the possible roles to be played and their potential likely outcomes. Desires are just desires. They're not good or bad. Follow your joy and live your dream. I'd ask you, are you sure you know all the spiritual implications to every horror story you learn of? Our spiritual selves know that there are larger reasons for things than what we can perceive with our physical senses. We can begin to share that even the hardest questions have answers, and that there is order, healing, and therefore love and perfection in every time and space occurrence. For our dreams and desires, we can simply look to whatever it is they promise to see if they've been tainted by limiting beliefs. If their promise is happiness, fun, and fulfillment, then they likely haven't been tainted by limiting beliefs. However, if they promise recognition, status, justification, or something like that, perhaps as a means to attaining happiness, fun, and fulfillment, then somewhere along the way, limiting beliefs got involved. These kinds of desires presuppose that something is missing, something that belongs to every one of us by divine right. For example, if your desire or dream is to win over someone's heart as a means to achieving your own happiness, somehow you've come to believe that your happiness depends on the approval of the company of another, which simply isn't true. Whether or not you do lasso his or her heart, if this lesson isn't learned, your peace and happiness will never be able to be stable, and deep down you'll know it. Can you see that even while we may endure emotional pain, it's always for a greater good? It's the feeling of freedom you want from a new possession or wealth. Then could it be that ordinarily you feel somewhat trapped and limited? Or why might you yearn for appreciation and admiration unless to some degree you sense their absence from your life today? How, when, where, or why did you stop seeing yourself as anything less than acceptable, loving, and good enough? Do you want a new job to garner respect? Do you want romance so that you can feel love? Do you want abundance in order to feel power or to avoid responsibility? First, understand what it is you really want emotionally, and second, ask yourself why you want it. If the answer is anything less than to have fun and grow, then there's likely a lesson to learn, and it begins with understanding why you seem to think you're without. Why, as the divine creator that you are, have you come to believe that something is missing in your life, that you're incomplete? Ask because, as you now see, your current beliefs have manifested and desire has appeared to cure the sensed imbalance. Start looking to understand why you now find yourself without, and what thoughts and beliefs of yours have so far precluded getting what you want. All the answers you seek lie within. Feel with your heart and your mind. The right way will always feel good and make sense. The closest you can ever come to the wellspring that is you is through your desire and feelings. And follow your dreams. They're yours for a reason, not the least of which is to make them come true. Magical Universe, Chapter 6. In a word, to me, this kind of trust in the unknown is called faith. Faith that the sun will rise tomorrow and you along with it. Faith that gravity will hold you to the earth. Faith that the spinning molecules to make up your body will not spin out of control and leave you. Faith that your heart will keep beating. Faith in our magical universe is what this chapter is about. Faith could be used interchangeably with the words trust or knowing, but faith connotates a recognition of spirit, an understanding that you are not here as some cosmic accident, and a knowingness of your true divine heritage. Faith acknowledges that you're not faced with living your life alone, and that you have invisible friends and energy to draw on for guidance and support. The unseen universe must be a vibrant place that's bright and cheery, colorful, bountiful, and gloriously alive and aware on its own. We're here to issue directives, whatever we wish, to a responsive universe. Rather than just thinking that the universe is alive and responsive, however, go further and remember that you are one with the universe. it should be even more obvious that it does conspire on our behalf because it is you, the bigger you. The universe yearns to see your smile and hear your laughter because you are the universe personified, and thus you are how it smiles and laughs. Use it, call on it, commune and understand that you're heard. The universe is your ally. It yearns for your happiness and fulfillment. We not only have the phenomenal ability to change our fortunes on a dime through the proper use of thought, word, and deed, but no matter what happens, our return home, our salvation is guaranteed. We cannot hurt our eternal spiritual selves. The game is rigged in our favor. But lest you feel alone, tiny, and inadequate, do not forget that you are infinitely more than you've ever been taught. You are the perfect person to have all that you dream of having. You were custom built for the possibilities that you alone dream of exploring. You didn't come here to survive. You came here because you wanted it all, exactly as you define all, and that's what you're going to get. Life is easy. It's always been easy. Whether you're thinking, speaking, or living, the universe takes note, seeing your attentions, follow your actions, and knows all. You're never alone. Just power up your thinking. Aim, which implies action, albeit minimal compared to what will be done for you, and delegate the rest of the universe, your greatest self, and the principle that holds time and space together, having faith that they will perform flawlessly. To exponentially increase the universe's chances of reaching you subtly and surely, do a few extra things. Act with faith and act as if, knocking on a few new doors, turning over a few new stones. And again, when such simple steps are taken consistently with the knowledge of how they can and will be exploited by the universe, it's as if a tipping point is simultaneously reached and the subsequent results can and will be staggering and swift. You can actually ask for a lot more than you might initially suspect. If you don't think you can ask for help, however, or if you think you can ask only for modest, selfish requests and that you really shouldn't overdo it, then that's all you're going to get. Ask that enlightenment come to you effortlessly while listening to your favorite music or driving home. In addition, don't just ask for wealth and abundance and then think that you must bust your butt to do your part. Ask that it comes to you quickly, honorably, and easily. Don't just ask for a new friend so that you can then have someone who understands you. Ask for party, celebration, fun, and laughter. Ask that it be a rip-roaring blast, the most fun you've ever had. Most people have no idea how many limitations they automatically attach to even the simplest of their desires. Remember, you are not alone. You have at your disposal a living, loving universe that's deeply tuned into you, that can and must be delegated to you. And by understanding its presence and having a renewed faith in its magic, you can effortlessly begin commanding the elements to do your bidding. Faith in its magic. Looking forward, realize that this very same magic can be counted on as you set your short and long-term goals. By recognizing life's magic and how it's worked in your life already, you can begin counting on it to work today and in your future. This immediately means you can begin having more by doing less. Imagine I've just phoned you and told you that I've wired direct to your bank account $20 million tax-free. Imagine it. Believe that it's true for at least a brief moment. Can you see it in your mind what's the little slip from the ATM would look like when it prints your available balance? $20 million. Imagine all those zeros. Imagine them on your bank statement. Imagine balancing your checkbook with a beginning and ending balance that is 8 digits long. Now imagine the peace it would likely give you. Just think. There'd be nothing you couldn't afford to have or do. There'd be nowhere on the planet you couldn't afford to travel to in style. There'd be no restaurant you couldn't eat at every day. No hotel you couldn't stay at for the rest of your life. No hobby you couldn't take up. No home you couldn't buy, almost. No gifts for loved ones you couldn't afford. And never, ever again in your life would you have to worry about money. Think about this for a while and imagine the infinite possibilities. Kind of fun, right? You probably quickly realized that you could spend $20 million in your lifetime, but the magic of the universe as your supply, you can make 20 million grow to 100 million again and again and still not scratch the surface of all you could have. Your supply is limitless, eternal, unending, and yours for the taking. It's already in your universal bank account and better than money. It can be harnessed to draw more love, joy, and laughter into your life at a moment's notice. That should give you something good to visualize in the days ahead. Act as if it is there. and then be able to draw on it. Just keep this in your mind. Though the potential of your universal bank account is limitless, it only has as much money in it as you decide to withdraw. Now, our brain logic tells us that the more we take out, the less we'll have. But that's because our brain is only accustomed to assessing physical reality. Its sense of logic doesn't work in the spiritual realm. In fact, the opposite is true with the universal bank account. The more we take out, the bigger the balance gets. If you go to Universal ATM for $100, that's what it'll give you. But if you go for 1 million, it'll be there too with faith. By using and drawing on it with faith incrementally, gradually, so that you ultimately become congruent with it in terms of all you think, say, and do, your physical accounts will soon begin mirroring it. How? You start by doing what you can, by spending what you can without worry, by believing with faith that your coffers will be replenished, by not hoarding for some rainy day. You also do it by window shopping, by planning, preparing, and paving the way for abundance to come into your life, by visualizing yourself living the life of your dreams, by defining, perhaps with pen and paper, the life of your dreams. Have faith by moving forward and living the life of your dreams to any degree that you now can, by following your dreams and desires, and by listening to your hunches and intuitions, and physically moving in directions that may yield more abundance. By insisting, demanding, expecting, and knowing that this magic is there to be called upon, inviting it into your life with thoughts and gratitude, and giving thanks that you want, that what you want is already yours, even though you don't physically see it yet. You prepare the way for unlimited withdrawals. Evidence of life's magic exists everywhere around us. Faith in the universe is a belief in magic. But once you understand the endless abilities of the universe and realize that it offers itself to any and all who ask, the magic becomes far less mysterious and infinitely more friendly, dependable, and even more predictable. Hardly magic at all. Dream manifestation is at least a fun and enlightening hobby. Your job is to define as clearly as possible exactly what it is you want on both a physical level and, even more importantly, an emotional level. By allowing yourself to be inspired by life's magic so that you can start dreaming really big as soon as you start coming down to earth with the application of your high ideals, you're in a peak state to catch and identify those beliefs that contradict the presence of this magic. Whenever you feel in a slump, allow yourself to begin thinking that wherever you are with your new perspective, things are inevitably about to get a whole lot better. The lull you're experiencing is just giving the universe time to orchestrate a relatively complicated yet fantastic surprise party. Now, don't start worrying that in the past you may have given up too soon on some of your dreams and are now hopelessly off course, because it's never too late to find euphoric happiness or to become wildly fulfilled. The universe is fantastically capable of dealing with exactly where you are today and delivering to you the life you've already dreamed you'd live. Dedicate time every day to visualizing. Start working on or updating your scrapbook or your vision board if you have one, or maybe write out some of your beliefs. Don't start looking for problems, but be vigilant in ensuring that your thoughts and beliefs are in line with the life of your dreams. Lulls can be looked at as gifts, the calm before the storms of glorious manifestation. And when you recast them in this life, they can even be transformed in some of the happier times of your life, almost as vacations before spurts of creative living. The next time you visualize, include the universe and its magic. Don't just see yourself manipulating life. See the unexpected popping into your life and imagine the feelings you'd have after receiving some awesome curveballs from the universe. Include magic and surprises when you visualize. After all, it's present in your ever waking moment every day of the week, right? Look at your own life and use every wonderful experience that has ever happened to you as proof that magic exists. Give the universe credit for your past accomplishments and achievements so as to instill a knowing this that you are connected, because whatever great thing you've done before, you can do again and again and again. Know that any dream you can muster is actually all in a day's work for the infinite magical universe, which holds you in the palm of its hand. This is our greatest test. to know that even in the absence of physical proof, we are spiritual beings, to know that although our thoughts are invisible, they will become the things and events of our lives, and to know that we are loved and provided for. After all, any thought on the subject will reveal that all material objects are pure spirit anyway, that thoughts become things, thus the things of our life are really just the thoughts of our life. See the miracles in your life, expect them, count on them, and begin leveraging the magic behind the universe. That's what it's there for. You are divine. The universe is loving, and your thoughts will always become things. Wow. Talk about control and talk about power. You've got both. Whether you realize it or not, you are right now in your home, at work, in a car, or on a plane, being carried by the magic of the universe. It's always been there. It's always loved you, and it's always conspired on your behalf. You only have to know this and to have faith to begin deliberately using it. Faith means you believe. You believe you are not alone. You believe you can and will stand in ownership of what you ask for, and you believe that the infinite wisdom and incalculable powers of the universe are yours to draw on to any degree that you can imagine. Ask for a little help, and you'll receive it. Ask for the world on a silver platter, and it shall be yours. Actually, it already is. The Elixir of Life, Chapter 7. To live the life of your dreams, you must first aim and focus, deciding upon and thinking about what you want, and then making some minimal effort in the direction of your dreams, which is like snapping the shutter button. Understanding is the elixir of life. At the risk of repeating myself, the key to grasping your full power comes from understanding that in life there are inviolate principles you can rely on, depend on, and literally bank on. You don't need to know exactly how they work. You do have to understand. All you have to do is understand the overall concept of taking pictures. Basically, how does the camera work and what exactly is required of you, the photographer? Simply understand what you can, understand what's before you, understand today. That's enough. Understanding is the elixir that reveals your place in eternity, and with it, your beliefs can be aligned and your imagination ignited to achieve anything you can dream of. You can spend hours each day hammering vivid, imaginative thoughts before your mind's eye with little success in the long run because you don't understand that your beliefs must not contradict the object of your desire. Likewise, you can work to install new beliefs and act in line with your dreams. Yet, if you take no responsibility for where and who you are now, then what kind of authority do you really believe you have? Faith will indeed take you anywhere you want to go, but as it's usually understood by the rest of the world, faith generally means blind faith or faith in lieu of understanding. Yet, as I alluded to in the last chapter, blind faith can carry with it a burden of fear, fear of the unknown. On the other hand, a faith engaged by understanding allows you to confidently, expertly, and effortlessly move through your life, living deliberately and fearlessly like the God or goddess you truly are. Understanding is a choice, but with understanding, all things are possible. Life gets easier. You become lighter. Chapter 8, Abundance, Health, and Harmony. The starting point is not that you don't have any and you just want a little. It's that you have everything and you just want a little. All you have to do is finally recognize the truth about your reality and who you really are. Perhaps the biggest shock I routinely experience is how happy and carefree the people are. South Africa is perhaps my favorite destination. Joy radiates from even the poorest people in ways the typical Westerner cannot even imagine. Are they disadvantaged, or do they have perhaps an entirely different set of priorities and values that we are accustomed to that makes them far richer than we can imagine? Whatever you want shall be yours. Whatever you can think to ask for, you will receive. Your natural state of existence is to live in abundance, health, and harmony. Imagine that this is an identical copy of you, a clone, except that this clone has just one difference from you. It exists in a perfectly natural state, and thus this radiant entity thinks no unnatural thoughts and produces no unnatural manifestations. This entity would quietly feel its desires coming forth, as these are the catalysts that started all. The desires would engage the clone's unlimited imagination, unleashing its full power, because the being would have no limiting or contradictory beliefs or fears to contend with. Remember, things are not as they appear. When you're getting ready to leave the house and you want to look your best, you probably spend at least a minute or two looking in the mirror. You check out your hair, your complexion, your color. If you're a woman, you might put on some makeup. If you're a man, you might shave, and then you're ready to go. What we need to do is go within. We need to work on our thoughts, our beliefs, and our understandings of life if we want to change the world of appearances. Until now, we haven't. And this is because we've been raised in conditions on the misconception that we must manipulate the physical world first to affect change. Remember that everything in your life is exactly as it should be. You're never thrown into a situation or given an experience accidentally. Life is our playground and study lab where we get to try out our thoughts. And if it doesn't already, one day this will all make sense to you. You'll realize that nothing was ever lost, that you have been kept whole, and that as an eternal spiritual being, you still have forever before you. The challenge you face lies in shifting your thinking and understanding. You want to go from thinking the kinds of thoughts that have delivered you to this state to thinking the kinds of thoughts you think once your dreams have already come true. Create for yourself, and why not start today, a huge palette of thoughts to dwell on. What I mean is that you can develop now ahead of time a list of thoughts to think in the near future when you visualize, when you run errands, when you daydream, whenever. Take some time now to creatively provide yourself with a palette of thoughts to choose from later on. Think of picking new goals that would only seem attainable or worthy of dreaming once you are already at your ideal weight. Think of how going for a walk or exercising will be so much easier. Imagine helping and inspiring others to achieve as you have. Think of everything that will be positively different because virtually everything will be. For abundance, think of the help you're going to have to hire to run your affairs, the accountant, the lawyer, the nannies, the lawn care companies, the swimming pool people, and more. Think of how you'll find them. Think of how you'll interact with these people and perhaps their families. Think of what else you'll be doing with your time. Think of the kind of goals you'll be setting to yourself once you're financially set for life. Delve deeply into imagining your life and affairs under these circumstances. Think big, yet pace yourself. Give yourself incremental goals. Break down your lofty goals into several bite-sized pieces so that from time to time, you also work on more immediately manageable achievements, empowering yourself and building your confidence as you make progress to your goals. Happiness's greatest secret. To the best of your ability, enjoy your life as it already is. It's not the realization of your dreams that will bring you happiness. Most people adjust their dreams as they go, raising the bar higher and higher, and so it should be. Ever hear of a millionaire who didn't strive for his or her second million? We're naturally insatiable creatures reaching one goal. We immediately fix our sights on the next. So the trick is learning to find happiness even while you do not yet have all you want because you never will. Do you see? If we postpone our happiness until our present dreams come true, it becomes a habit without end. Our achieved dreams constantly being replaced by new dreams. To enjoy life means to enjoy the journey, even though the journey itself implies we are incomplete. This is happiness's greatest secret. Master it now, and you can coast into the rest of your life. And ground yourself in truth. Spend some time every now and then just dwelling on the fact that your natural state is abundance, health, and harmony. Knowing that you are perfect, you are loved, and all is well. Can you see yourself living in the home of your dreams, owning fabulous cars, frolicking on the South Seas island or in the Caribbean in the winter, taking in Broadway shows in Manhattan, traveling internationally every year, skiing the Swiss Alps? How about sailing, scuba diving, playing tennis, golf, or polo? Can you see those? You could be staying at the Hermitage in Monte Carlo, attending Wimbledon, the Masters, or Super Bowl, buying wonderful gifts for family and friends, financially helping those in need. Can you see yourself living like this? I can. You are a miracle. You're prone to success, and the cards are stacked in your favor. By embracing these simple truths, you'll unavoidably meet with the abundance, health, and harmony that is even now everywhere in your life. Chapter 9, relationships. When we have peace with ourselves, we can have peace in our relationships with others. Understanding ourselves makes it easier to understand others, and more so, when we can be happy with ourselves, we can more readily be happy with others. The key, of course, is self-love, and the only way to love yourself is to first be yourself, authentic, genuine, and natural. Listen to yourself. Forget about appearances and what other people think. Of course, where you are is never where you are. Often where you are is all other people ever get to see of you. Only you know the truth about who you are. To be yourself and to love yourself, you must listen to yourself and realize that you are the ultimate authority on you, the chief executive of your life, who is infinitely more capable of seeing your life's big picture than anyone else. We all want so much and we all want it now, but when it doesn't appear as quickly as we like, it doesn't do us any good to begin doubting our ability to manifest whatever it is we want or to lose faith in the universe. In life, use what time you do have to do what you can. Always do what you can. Accept yourself as you are today. Accept all that you've been. You've only ever done your best, giving your understanding given your understanding at the time. And all that you've done has made possible your enlightened perspective of today. Accepting also means forgiving yourself for your so-called mistakes. It just means realizing that you have been and therefore always will be at the helm of your ship. Trust the universe, its principles, and the greater aspects of yourself to be working on your behalf with your overall best interests in mind. You don't have to be specifically asked for something in order for great things, wonderful surprises to start happening in your life. Simply being happy or dwelling on happiness will inspire the universe to make you happy in all ways that you define happiness. If material abundance is part of how you define happiness, then the universe knows you will not be fully happy without it, and it would draw it into the equation. You needn't become obsessed with your thoughts. Just be aware of them. They're not going to betray you, nor will the universe free up your mind. Let it wander and let it explore reality on its own. Trust. We're all creative, spontaneous, and playful, and so are our thoughts and our manifestations. I want to make it clear, however, that no one is at the mercy of past decisions. And just because a life may have been challenging so far doesn't mean there's some hidden agenda stating it must continue that way. In fact, every challenge and hardship is also an opportunity to overcome and to live in abundance, health, and harmony. We need to learn to live with these challenges, prolong them, and drag them with us throughout our life. Every day is a new beginning, presenting new opportunities to rise up. We're never helpless to change the circumstances of our lives as long as we do not look to the physical world to affect the changes. Look within. When becoming aware of these beliefs, watch yourself and listen to all that you think, say, and do, because the shocking truth is that you're already eliciting certain behaviors from everyone you come in contact with based on your beliefs, perceptions, and dispositions in each evolving moment. To make the best of our relationships, realize that the people in your life are chosen. They have been chosen by you to enhance your learning and happiness, just as you've been chosen by them, perhaps to light their darkened path. I'd expect that while reading this chapter, you wished a time or two that whomever you might be in a relationship right now would take to heart some of the points I've made. But you know, people don't open up to new ideas, even helpful ideas, until they're ready. And you're the one who will sometimes have to settle for not having the last word, and how your patience and goodness ripple down to humanity, raising us all a notch or two higher into the light. Chapter 10, Tools and Techniques. There's no right or wrong way to gain mastery over the illusions of time and space. And what works for one person or for me might not be at all useful for another. Creative visualization. Visualize just once or twice a day for 5 or 10 minutes is ideal. You can take photos of cheerful, smiling faces from magazines, the kind of faces you like to have in your life to help you imagine the joy you're after, because books most certainly do not have to be just about acquiring material things. And while you're at it, definitely include a recent photo or two of yourself amongst all other images. Another addition to my scrapbook are brief notes I've written to myself as if they were notes from someone else, like congratulations, thanks, or job offers that would be written to me if a particular dream of mine had already been achieved. I even written fake checks to myself. Another thing you can do before visualizing is to remind yourself of all your prior successes in life, especially similar successes with regard to what it is you're now after. When you triumphed in the face of fear, looking at these lists and thinking of your successes before you visualize will help you to have the right frame or mind and bolster the belief that you can indeed have whatever it is you want beyond the dream. Something else I sometimes do when visualizing is think beyond the point in my life when my dreams will have come true. I think of my life as if all my dreams have already come true, and then I think and wonder about what new goals I'd be dreaming up then. I'll wonder about what kind of thoughts I'll have when I'm more enlightened. No cards and bullet points. Here's something else I often do to help focus and stimulate my mind, my thinking along the lines of what I want to be thinking. I used to do it with just a notepad, but now I prefer using 3x5-inch index cards. I write then extremely detailed bullet points with descriptions of things I want. And when using these cards, I usually have one card per subject. For instance, one card might be for my work or career, another card for the new kind of car I want, another for the next home I'd like to buy, another for the kind of enlightenment wisdom I'd like to possess, another for short-term goals or for long-term goals. You can categorize these cards any way you like. What 3 relatively simple things could happen in your life within the next 12 months that would be a confirmation of the path you're on, thrill you, and leave you powerfully charged as you look to the future? Write them down together. These are the intermediate goals I spoke of earlier. And on another card, I've written down compliments and praise I've received from various people by category. On another card, I've written what my next home will be. It will be on a chain of lakes and modern with a fireplace, a pool, a great landscaping potential. Writing this card is like drawing word pictures. Acts of faith are extremely powerful. To refresh your memory, acts of faith are physical demonstrations that are aligned with your dreams. You can write down acts of faith ahead of time. Begin performing one or two every day as you more consistently become aware of how this all works. Beliefs. With beliefs being at the core of how you create change in your life, let there be no end to the type of exercise you practice and invent that will help ensure yours are in alignment with the life of your dreams. First and foremost, your number one tool in uncovering limiting beliefs comes from developing an ongoing awareness throughout all your days of the times you think, say, and do. It's like having a sentry on guard or a watchdog who filters your every thought and looks for limitations. Make the commitment to yourself that you'll always be on guard when it comes to deserving the things you think, say, and do, and you will surprise yourself with what you find. Intellectualizing. This exercise calls for you to enumerate all the reasons, physical and spiritually, that you should or can be experiencing the opposite of the challenge you're experiencing. For example, if abundance continues to elude you, engulf yourself with all the reasons why this should not be an issue for you. List your traits and qualities that have value to the world. If possible, recall experiences when it was not an issue. Remind yourself of the absolute fact that wealth, like poverty, is exclusively the result of your life's focus. List evidence of how easy wealth has been for countless others to acquire it. Draw on other successes in your life where you clearly did bring about desired results in terms of health, friendships, or happiness, and realize that attracting dollar bills, sales, or contracts is no more challenging than attracting health, friendship, and happy times. Ask yourself questions such as, what has kept me so far from relating to and approving of my creativity? Make believe. Here's a technique you can try that's fun and easy, though it requires at least two people. I used to do this with my mother and brother when we worked together. We'd meet every week for breakfast to get focused and psyched up about the company and our dreams. And toward the end of our breakfast meeting, I'd usually launch into the fantastic things I've been up to, like meeting with distributors in Japan, Switzerland, or South America. I'd go into details about the exciting deals we were working on and the large contracts. I'd talk about the trips I made in my private jet. Of course, none of this had happened yet. It was all a fantasy, but I talked as if it were all real. And then they listened attentively as if it were all real. They'd ask serious questions as my business partner would, and I'd have answers. Then I'd turn the tables on them. Tuning in. Whenever I'm faced with a choice, any kind of choice, I try to frame it into a yes or no question. Then I clearly ask that question, close my eyes, take a few deep breaths, and visualize the word yes and then the word no. I'll play with these visuals in my mind, bouncing them around to see them as clear as I can, and whichever of the two words seems bigger, more dominant, or closer to me is the answer I believe that the universe or my greater self is showing me. I've heard of other people doing variations of this, some suggesting that when you breathe out, you exhale the question, and when you breathe in, you'll get it either a yes or a no. You really should at least try this, and in whatever variation you like the most, because I have to tell you, I've been really shocked by how accurate and helpful the answers are. In fact, I can think of a time or two when I didn't follow the advice of the answer I received and how sorely I regretted it later. Goal for the day. Pick a goal for the day, something extremely attainable that you can unquestionably believe could happen that day, though something that could just as easily not happen. You might choose to finish a particular task, or maybe you wish to start a new one. You might choose to hear a particular compliment, like on your hair, or to find something like $1, anything. For instance, even as I was creating the audio program that preceded this book, I was actively selling it as a subscription, with one recording being mailed out to each subscriber each month throughout the year. Often, virtually every day, I pick a number of online orders I'd like to receive. I'd have a personal conversation with the universe or God. Really, it was like a prayer. I'd tell the universe the quantity I'd like to sell, usually stated at a minimum. Whatever differentiates this exercise from simply praying or thinking is the intensity and clarity of my focus. I really talked directly to the universe and understood clearly that it heard every word. And you must give yourself credit when you get exactly what you want. You must do this because it means you understand your role in shaping the events of your life. And conversely, you must take responsibility when things don't pan out. Inspire yourself. First, don't ever lose sight of the rewards you're after. Understand that everything you're doing today, everything is preparing you for the treasures that lie just ahead. Whether it's apparent or not, everything you do is preparing you for the life of your dreams. And all that you've been through and are now going through, even the painful or frivolous stuff, is exactly what you need to prepare you for what's coming next. Had you manifested your dreams too quickly, for instance, they might have all slipped through your fingers just as fast. But now you've been readied and the groundwork is being laid. Secondly, don't lose sight of the big picture that life, the journey, is the greatest adventure. It's astounding how well things work when you stop resisting or insisting. But sometimes when life doesn't seem to be working, it's because you got so swept up in how you want things to go physically that you end up losing sight of what you're really after spiritually. You begin refusing to allow the universe, your dreams and thoughts, to figure out the hows, preventing it from showing you every possible alternative, including the ones that question or even threaten the very path you're on. It's astounding how well things work when you stop resisting or insisting. If you're not honest with yourself, you're going to manifest warning signals everywhere, and the very sands beneath your feet will begin shifting. Both enlightenment and waking from your spiritual slumber should come naturally and easily. You don't have to hide yourself in seclusion to spark new thinking. You just need some new thinking. There's really only one way to grow spiritually, and that's through thought. And there's really only one way to manifest the life of your dreams, and that's also through thought. Chapter 11, questions and answers. Is setting deadlines for the universe okay? For example, can I not only ask the universe to make me a millionaire, but also to be one by the end of the year? Yes and no. It's okay to ask, but I think more damage than help can be done with timeframes. When you start dealing with timeframes, you start meddling with the physical side of things, which is the domain of the universe. You run the risk of tying its hands from finding the best possible route between you and whatever you're asking for. I do believe that a truly enlightened person would have no problem manifesting just about anything within a time frame. But until you're walking on water, there's just no need to go there because it creates all kinds of stress and anxiety. Picking dates is almost as bad as dealing with the cursed house. It's risky business, and you would do well to avoid doing it whenever you can. I'm really at the end of my rope. My life is great, yet I'm constantly fatigued and unhappy. I feel like I'm losing my optimism and desire to have change. I can't seem to shift. Do something, anything, take action, be the shift, stop waiting for it all. It's not enough to claim that life is wonderful, to see its beauty, and to spin dreams that may one day come true all by themselves. They won't. Join a club, take a class, ask for promotion, move across town, adopt a pet, volunteer, mingle, network, dare yourself, challenge yourself, engage the magic of life. Dreams are real, every bit as real as the life you and I lead. And second, life is a dream that's every bit as illusory as the dreams we dream at night. Whenever you're feeling really confused about what you want, the first step is to be really honest with yourself and start listening to the voice within. It's very tempting to blindly pursue a dream with your heart and to shut out all common sense or intellect. Not only to fall in love with your dream, the lesson here is not only to fall in love with your dreams, this should be a given, but to also find a path you love, which can hardly be done if you're feeling intellectual resistance. When you love the path, your dreamed of destination becomes almost incidental and happiness becomes a daily affair. When you feel internal resistance, don't ignore it. In the name of faith, or shout over it, claiming your divinity. Hear it out. Then with honesty, you can dispel it with certainty or adjust your heading. I don't know what I should be doing with my life. I have a two-part answer for this one. Part one, whatever it is you're now doing with your life is what you should be doing, including asking this question now asking. Part two, asking that question likely means you'd like to be doing more with your life, in which case simply begin by doing more. Like what? Start with little things, which all on their own will grow into bigger things. Every journey begins with a first step. If you look at any incident in your life as an isolated incident, you're taking it out of context. By looking at the big picture and at the events preceding and succeeding the incident, at some point you'll always be able to find its value and therefore realize that it's resulted from your desire to learn and grow to be wiser and more compassionate. In everyone, you see God, and in everyone, you sense their joys, their sorrows, and their dreams. You are no more special or talented than those you meet who are in pain, and you want so greatly to lighten their load. Your priorities have shifted, and what now matters most is sharing, another way of looking at life. Of course, you've noticed something else that's strange lately. Physical principles have begun taking a back seat to spiritual principles. Less no longer means less. Logic no longer applies. You find that the more you give, the more is given to you. The more you teach, the more you're shown the way. And the more you heal, the more you're healed. There is no there is so much happiness in store for you. You are ready. You are divine. You are powerful, unlimited, and eternal. You are invincible. You are sublime. You are infinite, worthy, and so deserving. You are God. Think the good thoughts, move with them, listen to your heart and mind, feel your way, and the universe will spring you into magic until your every cup, bucket, and tub runneth over out the windows, down the streets, and into all the lives you touch.